welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own advent calendar in this lovely tree shape, and it is for the countdown to Christmas with 1 to 24 little pockets. And I'm going to be talking you through how to draft your own pattern, how to make it, and all the materials you need, all the sewing steps and everything involved to create your own Christmas tree advent calendar. And then also going to be talking through the materials that I used in order to transfer on my own letters using my Cricut. A lot to cover in this video, so before I get started, if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and any kind of comments or anything like that really help to support my channel, and it means I can keep producing content like this one. Everything I mentioned will be in the description box below. Without further ado, let's get straight on into it. I absolutely love advent calendars, especially when they are handmade, and I particularly love the fabric look where they're sort of hung up and they've got little pockets on the front. I've seen a few on Pinterest that I love the look of, but I wanted to create my own version and show you guys how you can also make it for yourself at home. I have this really cute, I think it's kind of like a polyester cotton fabric. It's quite medium weight and it's a really lovely dark green colour. I got this from Pound Fabrics, but I'll leave some links below that's similar to this. Pretty much any fabric that has a nice medium to heavy weight to it is what you're going to want for this project. And my aim for this video is to show you how to measure out a kind of big triangle shape similar to a Christmas tree. However, it's going to be very simple, so there's no pattern piece required. It's all going to be done through measuring. We're going to quilt one piece, so with the triangle shape you'll cut 2 pieces, and you'll also need some wadding. There's quite a few variations what you can buy online. Because this isn't going to be worn as a garment, you can pretty much just pick up, you know, some cheap stuff like this. This is like a sheet of wadding. You can see it's not the best quality, but it's perfect for kind of crafts and things like this sort of style of sewing project. Obviously I wanted to go Christmassy and I've chosen a green fabric. So fabrics, wadding, and then for the pockets you can either create the pockets in a matching fabric, so in the same colour, or you could do contrast pockets. I haven't quite decided what fabrics I'm going to use yet, but I have got some really nice like quilted cottons and stuff, so I'm going to have a look through my stash. Here is a little diagram of the pattern that I'll be showing you how to create, and it is self-drafted with some simple lines. So the top measures 3 inches, the length or the height of it is 80 centimeters, and then the base is 70 centimeters. As you'll see in the next clips, you have to start off by measuring the base first, find that central point and draw up, and then you can do your slanted lines as well. So it's fairly straightforward, but I hope this diagram helps. And you're going to need about 1 meter of fabric, and then I've put mine on the fold. So I've just put selvages together and then folded it onto my table. You need some kind of pen or marking tool, chalk, whatever you have. A ruler, it would help if you have a really long ruler. I don't, I have these, but will be absolutely fine. And a pair of sharp scissors. So the first thing we need to do is measure our bottom line of our triangle, and this is where it's a good idea to kind of lay out your fabric. Also measure your space. If you don't know where you're going to hang the advent calendar, then I suggest looking in your living room or your kitchen or wherever it is you're going to hang it up, and making sure that you have a good amount of space. And if you don't, and you only have like a short or small wall space, then you can resize this, but you know, it's pretty easy to resize and adjust. And then also mark on the half measurement at that base. It's important it's a definite half measurement, because that's where you're going to get the point of your triangle from. So just double check that on both sides, make sure you're happy. Up from that 80 centimeters. So I've got my line down the center. It's not going to be an exact point at the top. I want to allow a couple of inches at the top. 3 actually. If I do 3 inches, then there's 1.5 inches on each side, and that allows for the seam allowance as well. So now we have our points at the top and we have our points at the bottom. We're now going to do a straight line all the way down from point to point. So I'm happy with that, and again it's going to be quite large, but I wanted to make sure I did it large enough to fit my pockets on. And also just remembering that when you quilt, it will shrink it down ever so slightly. So let me just let you know total measurements as well. So the total measurements are 74 at the bottom. This side line is 88. The centre line is 80. Then this top line is 8 centimetres. And the next part is to cut the wadding piece. You want to lay this on top of your wadding, and then you need to cut the wadding about 1 inch all the way around, just a little bit bigger. So I'm just in the process of choosing my pocket fabrics, and I've got a selection of scrap fabrics and things here. I've got these really gorgeous William Morris scraps that I thought would work quite nicely, as well as some Liberty scraps and some vintage Liberty, like, you know, remnants that I had, like the greeny bluey tones for my calendar. So you want to roll your project out of the way. So the pockets measure 5 inches by 4 inches. And you can obviously change the size of these. I did find in the end they were probably just ever so slightly too big. So next time I'll probably do them 4 by 3 inches. So here are all the squares. It looks a bit crazy at the moment just because I've just placed it on to make sure they fit. But you have to remember that all of these will have 1 centimetre ironed all the way around like that. And then it will have a 2 centimetre fold on the top that's stitched down, so the pocket will end up being a bit smaller. So you'll see, like that, there'll be gaps in between all of them. So what we need to do is quilt one side of our tree. So making sure you've got your right side facing up. This fabric is pretty similar on both sides, so it doesn't matter too much. We've already got it laid out on our wadding. We need to get some curved safety pins. You can use just normal pins if you've got them, but I like to use the curved ones when it comes to quilting, just makes it a little bit easier. Once that's pinned all together, we're going to move it over to the sewing machine to start quilting. Now, it might be handy to do a couple of guidelines. However, I'm just going to use the straight bottom edge as a reference point on my sewing machine. It might also help to have a walking foot, a quilting foot, whatever you want to call it, set on your sewing machine, and then that just helps to kind of go through thicker fabrics. If you don't have that, don't worry. Most normal sort of standard sewing machines also, you know, sew in straight lines over this kind of thick fabric. It just might take a little bit longer. I'm just setting up the machine, and I'm just going to use some standard kind of moon thread for the quilting, so you don't require anything special. Obviously if you've got embroidery thread, then lovely. And then for the stitch length, I'm actually going to make a stitch length 3. Just having it a little bit longer I find is much easier for quilting, and actually makes it just a tad faster. And I find a slightly larger stitch length is good for quilting projects anyway. So I've got a walking foot on my machine as well. This is a quilting foot, otherwise known as a walking foot. This is really, really straightforward, very simple. It's just going to be straight lines stitched onto the project, and we're stitching through the layer of green fabric and 1 layer of wadding. That's what those first lines are looking like. We're going to continue down the tree with the same lines all the way down until we get to the bottom, and then we'll do the same process across the vertical to the tree as well. So that is the quilting finished. As you can probably see, the lines are not that straight, but do you know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is it looks really cute, and we've got a nice base now for our pockets to go on. So the pockets are here. And there's quite a lot. Obviously there's like 24 pockets for the 24 days, and to be able to prep these, what I need to do is set up my little mini iron. I've got my mini ironing board, and then I'm using my Cricut mini press. Turn that on, and for each pocket we want to iron down one of the longer, one of the shorter edges. We want to iron that down 1 centimetre and then again another centimetre. And we're going to repeat that on every pocket, and we're going to edge and top stitch that flap down so that we create a nice edge for our pocket. So that's the first stage of the pocket. So all the pockets are now sewn, and the next process is we need to iron in the side seams and the bottom seam roughly 1 centimetre, and then you have something that looks like this. So we need to repeat that with all of the other pockets, and then once those are done, the next process is pinning the pocket onto the quilted tree. So the pockets are all ironed. I'm now going to just trim off this excess wadding around the edge, and then we don't actually need it anymore. So we have our pins, and now we can place on our pockets. Just gonna make sure all these little bits are brushed off. And then we do have quite a lot of pockets here, so it'll be a case of placing them roughly where we want them, and then we can sort of jiggle it around. So there's the pocket placement. I might have another little shuffle around with it, but so far I think I'm pretty pleased with the placement of them. Pin them all in place, and then we can head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch the side seam, the base seam and the other side seam of the pocket, leaving the top of the pocket open. So that is all the pockets sewn on. Once they're sewn on, you might want to go over all of them and just trim off any excess threads and things that are hanging off. We now need to get some ribbon for the top, so I'm just going to find some in my stash before the next step. So I have my little bit of ribbon. I'm going to create a loop, and then we're going to baste it in place at the top about 1/2 centimetre from the edge. Pin your tree pieces together. So we're going to stitch all the way around from the bottom here to the corner, up, round, down, and then to the bottom again, leaving a 4 to 5 inch gap at the bottom for turning it through, and I'm using a 1 centimetre seam allowance. The calendar is now finished. So this is what it is looking like with all the pockets stitched on, and I just love it. I think it's so cute. I really feel like it's quite different to a lot of the ones I've seen online, and obviously the floral pockets are just really cute way of using up your scrap fabrics. And yeah, I just think it's so cute. I actually think next time I make it, I'll make it with like all matching pockets rather than the mismatched pockets. It is very cute. It's very like kind of kitsch and like cottagecore, but obviously I know the floral pockets aren't for everybody. However, I think it's turned out really lovely. The fact that it's quilted, it feels really, really nice. What that's going to look like on the wall. So the next process is cutting out the designs on my Cricut. There's a lot of space, and it's going to take quite a while to cut out all of the designs. I'll leave a screenshot of the project that I've made in Design Space for you. It took me a long time to find all of the little bits and bobs that I wanted for the numbers, and I thought because of the busyness of the pocket, I wanted my numbers to be quite like big in terms of the space of vinyl, so that it shows up nicely. In terms of the vinyls that I'm going to be using, I've got the Smart Iron On in this like lovely navy blue, green glitter iron on, which I think is just perfect for this time of year. So I think this would work really nicely as well. And yeah, I'll figure out which ones to put the different specific colours on. And then I also have this gold foil, which I think might work quite nicely, so I'm just going to double check this one as well. So yeah, I think that's going to work really nicely. So I'm just going to stick, because there's already a lot going on, I'm just going to stick to the navy blue, the gold foil and the green glitter. I think that will work really nicely against the colour scheme. In terms of the design, I'm not going to show the cutting process for this because I'm doing a Cricut Live tutorial, and it's going to be a workshop, and I'll obviously let you guys know all about that on my social media in the next week or two. And if it's already live, then I'll link it down in the description box, and I'll be doing a kind of live event showing you guys how to make everything in this next step. However, the design is readily available on my Cricut Design space, so I'll leave the project link in the description box below, and this is an image of what the numbers look like. So if you like them, then you can go and add them to one of your own calendars. I will let you guys know in a second what it's looking like finished, and yeah, it's exciting. So next clip will be the finished result. And there we have it, you guys. Here is the finished calendar. I'm so pleased with it. I think it turned out really, really well, and I just absolutely love the fact that I can put in little gifts for my daughter for the countdown to Christmas. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made it. I hope you make your own, and if you do, let me know in the comments how you get on with your own project. I just love it so much. So thank you so much for joining me. Everything I mentioned will be in the description box below, and if you'd want to join me on the live tutorial, live workshop, then I'll leave details of that below as well. Obviously, if you're watching this video a little bit later, then yeah, the actual designs will be on my Design Space profile. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.